Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Sri Banerjee, core faculty for the College of Health Sciences and Public Policy at Walden University. And in this segment, I'm going to be going over some of the differences between a normal dissertation and a dissertation that is created by constructing three manuscripts. And I'm going to go over within this presentation what comprises a 3XM dissertation versus a regular dissertation. So let's go ahead and get started. So one of the reasons that the 3XM program started, and I was actually there at the very beginning when this program was first starting, and the idea was similar to some of the other universities. There was a potential need to have three manuscripts to be written as a dissertation. This is something that is there in multiple universities. Now, some of the requirements, sometimes in other universities, there's a requirement to actually publish the peer-reviewed article into peer-reviewed journals before completing the dissertation. Well, in this 3XM dissertation program, you don't necessarily need to publish. You have to write three separate manuscripts. More about that later. In this presentation, what I'll be going over is obviously an explanation about what 3XM entails. I'll give you an overview. I'll tell you about some of the selection criteria that we use to try to select individuals that are best fit for this. And then just include some components from the prospectus. As you know, when you're writing the dissertation, the prospectus is actually where you kind of create a mini proposal, I try to say, sometimes about 12 pages or so, and that allows for an understanding for you as a student and also for faculty members, providing an understanding of how well you know the material, you know the topic, and how well you're going to be able to explore that. So that's the prospectus, and then from prospectus, and I'm telling you about the regular dissertation initially. So after the prospectus, this goes to the program director. The program director gives recommendations, and then you move on to the proposal stage. During the proposal stage, in a regular dissertation, you create a proposal. And that's typically chapters 1, 2, and 3. So chapter 1 is kind of an overview, chapter 2 is a literature review, and chapter 3 is the methodology section. So that's the regular dissertation. However, when you go into 3XM, some of these change. So I'll be going over that a little bit more. And I'm going to compare what is available in terms of in a regular dissertation versus a 3M dissertation. So I hope I haven't lost you yet. So again, kind of giving you an overview, of course, three manuscripts, I went over that. There are times, when you do select this path, there are times when there are difficulties, and you always have the option to switch over to the regular dissertation. But I encourage you to go this route only if you're committed. Don't necessarily want to change over because that might take more effort. If you do want to switch, then you want to do that as early as possible, because you can't really, after you've written your proposal, these are pages and pages, and you don't want to redo all that. So let's go into the overview. And I probably mentioned this already. The 3XM format is selective and provides the opportunity to create three research articles that are ready to be published at the end. This format is ideal for students that are dedicated to their own research topic. Additionally, they will identify outlets that they can publish their research. Those individuals that are looking to pursue a career in academic and or critical thinking can find this format advantageous. This format actually can give an edge in individuals that are looking to apply for a postdoctoral fellow, encourage publication of the manuscript. So let me break that down here. So when you have completed your dissertation, typically a regular dissertation, you want to be able to demonstrate that you're a capable researcher and you can do work beyond the dissertation that you have written. So whether that is postdoctoral training with governmental agencies, or going into the state health department, or pursuing an academic position, this may prove to be helpful. Now, this is not to say that automatically when you create 3 manuscripts, those can translate into published research articles. That's not always the case, but this gives you an opportunity to actually go through the process, so that within any interview you can explain and describe how all of this goes. And of course, for instance, today I actually wrote a recommendation letter for a student that participated in some research, and that actually gave him an edge in trying to apply for a position, a fellowship position for the CDC. Now, of course, applying doesn't necessarily mean you got the job, but at least that gives you some headway into entering the profession. So this is appropriate only for some students, not all. So if you're looking to pursue a career in academia, you can have deeper application of critical thinking skills, finding this format more advantageous. And I have written recommendation letters about individuals that have gone through this process of 3XM and have found students finding successful academic jobs in academia due to this. So this is something that can be advantageous used effectively. So students that are interested in publication of the manuscript should go this route, and then those that have a higher GPA and does well in coursework, they're the ones that are selected for this route. So what types of research does 3XM is accepted through 3XM? So initially we were only accepting secondary data analysis research, and these are quite challenging. However, we've kind of extended this to primary data collection, and also in certain situations qualitative. So these are all the different types of research opportunities that are available that you can apply. Now, one thing to note, and this is more of a logistic sort of aspect that you might not need to worry about at the current moment, but just note when you're writing a prospectus, you want to use a different form. And in this form, you have research questions and the nature of the study. And then for manuscript 1, 2, and 3, you have these choices to be able to use. Not choices. This is basically the form you want to fill out if you're proposing a 3XM research. All right, so what are the components? I've gone through a lot of overview about the 3XM process, but the details that go on this 3XM dissertation can be tricky, so I'm going to go over that. So part 1, you give an overview. There's a background overview of the manuscript, significance, and summary. So that's how part 1 starts. Then part 2 is manuscript 1, manuscript 2, manuscript 3, and then the summary. So then there's a third part. So that's parts 1, 2, and 3, the summary, and then in the summary there's an integration of the studies and conclusion. So let me break this down here. When you have a 3XM dissertation, basically what you're doing is you're writing something that was similar, but the organization is different than a traditional dissertation. So in a proposal for a 3XM, rather than writing 1, 2, and 3, what you do is write the overview of the manuscripts at the beginning, where you introduce everything. And then for manuscripts 1, 2, and 3, you write the introduction, and then you write the methods. You don't go into the results and discussion for obvious reasons, because you haven't conducted the analysis. And then at the end, this is not part of the proposal, this is part of the final study. You discuss how the findings in the 3 studies work together to inform the broader research problem. So I know that those people that haven't been through the process or not ready, this might be too much information, but regardless, I've included this for those of you interested. So here's a bit more. I actually differentiated this for you already. Basically, in the overview of the manuscripts at the beginning, for the proposal, you write that. For the 3 manuscripts, you write the introduction and methods. And then you conduct the analysis, of course, for IRB, conduct the analysis, and then once you do that in each of the manuscripts, you complete the methods and complete the results and discussion, and at the end, you provide kind of a overview of your results, similar to chapter 5 in a regular dissertation. Now, this is an interesting note to make. So when you're out there, you're publishing your dissertation, you're going to have to use different varieties of referencing styles. So what I really recommend is when you are amassing your references, right? Try to use a reference citation manager. And what I mean by that is keep your references and use like a software like Zotero that doesn't cost anything, and then accumulate your articles into one place. And why am I telling you to do that? Well, the main reason is that you want to be able to change around your referencing style from APA to any other type of referencing style, so that you can submit to additional journals. So dissemination, this is kind of similar to when you complete a regular dissertation. Always I encourage students to complete posters, presentations, deliver seminars, of course engage in publications, and even research briefs. So again, I already went over this. You can actually, traditionally we only accepted quantitative secondary data analysis, then we extended to primary data, and then currently we have the opportunity to do qualitative as well. One thing to note, IRB, of course, Institutional Review Board, is an important place for ethical approval. And if you're conducting primary data, especially because this is a 3XM, I really encourage you to consult them early on to see if there's something that might be necessary to complete before you go into IRB approval. So design plan development approval and preliminary ethics feedback. This is kind of a process worksheet. I don't want to belabor the points here and go into much detail, but this is kind of the form. This is the form that you submit preliminary ethics feedback service onto the IRB to understand if there are any areas that need to be worked on before you can go through final approval. Also, there's a different dissertation template, just like I was telling you, a different prospectus form, and make sure to create that design plan. And of course, the committee will evaluate the potential of publication of your 3XM design plan. So these are very important areas to consider. These are some examples if you wanted to look up students. Both of these students have been mine, have been 3XM students. One of my students actually submitted to population health management. So these are actual publication ready articles that you can potentially submit to journal outlets. And don't worry if your publication doesn't necessarily get accepted. You can still explain the process to your interviewer about research that you have been engaged in. And that, again, puts you at an advantage when you're applying for jobs, or potentially can put you at an advantage. So the mentoring style is different. Of course, there's communication necessary. This takes vision, because there are many more areas that need consideration. So being able to write such a massive document can be quite challenging. So one of the things that I recommend is begin the dissertation with the end in mind. So what are you envisioning your end product to be? And accordingly, you can kind of make determinations as to what your goals, necessary goals are. So just wrapping up, important tips. This is 3 manuscripts. I think this is very important to understand. 3 manuscripts are not necessarily 3 distinct areas of research. So ensure basically you can apply time management skills. I mean, if you have a lot going on between job and other areas of life, then this might not be appropriate for you. So participate in scholarly presentations ahead of time, so that you can kind of familiarize yourself with all of the different components. And then in the ideation process, very important to be kind of taking into consideration some multiple things. All right, so this is a link to the forms that you can take a look at. So in a nutshell, this is what the 3XM dissertation entails. As you can see, there are multiple differences than the regular dissertation. The regular dissertation has 5 chapters. This has kind of an introduction overview, 3 manuscripts, and then there's a segment on findings and how to present that. So if you're up for the challenge, then this is appropriate for you. I hope this makes some sense. Thank you for listening.